You want undefeated rankings? Here's number 1 through 8, the Green Bay Packers. Grossi Posse Packer Nation, welcome to an episode of Podcast, the podcast where another Packers fan, but sure does help. I'm your host, Tom Grossi, and today we're going to do something a little bit different. I figured, hey, there are 8 undefeated teams left in the NFL. Why don't we rank them for our amusement? No, but seriously, let's talk about the top 8 teams in the NFL right now. And right now, we got 5 from the NFC and only 3 from the AFC. But if I have to be completely honest, there's only 2 that I'm really confident in and are actually going to keep this undefeated streak for some time. So, the way that I'm ranking these guys is, first of all, I looked through these. None of these teams have beaten world enders here. In fact, there are only 3 out of these 8 teams that have beaten a team with a winning record. And if the Bears win tonight, the Packers will be the only 3-0 team to actually beat 2 teams with a winning record, which obviously means we're number 1. But listen, this is a current ranking based on what their defense is looking like, their offense is looking like, and talking about the amount of points that they've allowed versus the amount of points that they've scored, and also taking a look at the opponents that they have defeated. So let's take a gander, starting with number 8, a team that should not even be on this list, but technically they're undefeated. So are you happy, Detroit? You made a list. And so number 8, the Detroit Lions. Yeah, should have walked off and had a blown out victory against the Cardinals, but you couldn't even do that right. And so because of that, they tied the Cardinals. They tied. Who ties? I mean, besides the Packers last year against the Vikings, but who ties? And so they tied the Cardinals, who are 0-2-1. They beat the Chargers, which I'm giving them lots of credit for. That's not an easy thing to do. Chargers are a good football team, and so I think there needs to definitely be some credit there. Now, there were some touchdowns called back because of some penalties, so the Chargers really didn't get into a groove there. But the Chargers are 1-2, losing against the Texans on Sunday. And the Eagles, who they just defeated yesterday, almost didn't, but they defeated them yesterday, and the Eagles are all banged up without Alshon Jeffrey and also Deshaun Jackson. And so the reason I put the Lions here is because none of these wins have been overly impressive, but on top of that, the only caliber team that I'm giving them is the Chargers. The Cardinals suck. The Eagles really aren't doing so great at this point. And if you take a look at where they're ranked, points per game on offense, so points per game scored, they're 15th in the league. And then their defense, which is top 15 as well, is 12th in points allowed. Taking a look at this, compared to the other undefeated teams, they're ranked down pretty close to the bottom here. So because of that, I'm going to rank the Lions at number 8. I know Detroit fans, you can hate me for it, but hey, at least you made the list, so that's something. Then moving on to number 7, and that is the only team in New York, and that is the Buffalo Bills. The Bills beating up on the 0-3 Jets week 1, the 1-2 Giants, who barely won that game, and they should have lost it because, you know, if Tampa Bay actually had a competent field goal kicker, why don't they draft another one in the second round? So the 1-2 Giants, and then the Bengals, who were 0-3. And so the Bills, taking a look at their offense, they are ranking number 17 in points scored, and they're tied for 5th in points allowed on defense. So the defense is doing pretty good comparatively to their offense, but again, they're not beating amazing teams here. The reason I gave them just the little edge up on the Lions is because they're beating them in defense by a pretty significant amount, and they're right there when it comes to offense, just a couple notches down for their offense for points scored. So next week, they're going to play the Patriots, which is where I think they are going to lose. And I think also the Lions are going to lose next week as they take on the Chiefs. So that's a big ouch for both of them. But you're having the Patriots and the Bills face off. So 2 undefeated teams, just like the Chiefs and the Lions. Who are going to come out victorious? The people that you think are going to. I mean, I don't think the Bills are going to win this. I mean, it could surprise me. They won't. But, you know, I don't think that's going to happen. I hope it does, for everybody's sake. But no. Then moving on to number 6 is the San Francisco 49ers. I will admit, I have slept on this team hard. I've barely been paying attention. And I was like, let me look at some tape here. And I saw Kittle doing a Rock impression, and then The Rock tweeted that out on Twitter, and lives were made. But the 49ers beat the 1-2 Bucks, then beat the 0-3 Bengals, and then the 0-3 Steelers. And the Steelers, it was a pretty close game. But the 49ers, listen, credit to be given where credit is due. They are still undefeated. They have a top 5 offense in points scored. They're sitting at number 5, and then they're number 9 for points allowed in their defense. So the team is doing pretty well, top 10 in both categories. They are playing the Rams in 2 weeks, which is where I think they'll have their first real test to see how good their team actually is. But right now, I have them sitting pretty at number 6. Now, getting to the first team that actually has beaten a team who actually has a winning record, the Green Bay frickin' Packers. Now, again, this might be 2 depending on what happens with the Bears game tonight, but the Bears, obviously, we beat them going 1-1. The Vikings, who are 2-1 after beating up on the Raiders yesterday, and then the Broncos, who are 0-3. Now, taking a look, their offense, not doing so good with points scored, sitting at number 22 in the league. Ooh, that's it's not so great, but we have the 3rd best defense in the leagues for points allowed, and so there's something to be saying about that. Our defense is playing pretty damn good. Our run defense can definitely improve, as shown with Dalvin Cook in week 2, and Phillip Lindsay running all over us with Freeman yesterday. But taking a look at this and the caliber of team we've been playing, the Bears, I still think, are a good football team. The Broncos, I think, are much better for their record, and the Vikings have a winning record at 2-1. I don't think that any of these teams are pushovers. Where I see them losing their first game, things start getting a little dicey in October. They will be playing the Cowboys, and they will also be playing the Chiefs. The Chiefs game is going to be one hell of a game on Sunday Night Football. But the Packers, I was thinking about putting them a little bit higher, but the concerns on offense and can they put together a full game? It is only week 4. Maybe I'll feel more confident after the Thursday night game with the Eagles, but I couldn't lift them a little bit higher than number 5. But again, there's a lot of question marks for just about every single one of these undefeated teams. Then moving on to number 4, and that is the Dallas Cowboys. And I know that it pains me. It pains me a great deal to put them above the Packers, but I ain't doing it based off of their opponents here. They beat up on the 1-2 Giants. The Redskins are 0-2, probably going to be 0-3 tonight. And then they beat up on the 0-3 Dolphins, but they didn't even really beat them up too much. Dak Prescott didn't look too good. Now, I know Cowboys fans are looking at this is like the second coming of Jesus Christ, but pump the brakes hardcore here, Cowboys fans. You've been beating up on teams that literally are just freaking terrible, are freaking fracking terrible. But I will give you this, that your offense is number 4 for points scored, and your defense is also number 4 for points allowed. So the stats are there, giving you the edge over the Green Bay Packers and everyone else on this list because you have top 5 offense and top 5 defense. Can it last? Well, let me put it this way. The Cowboys pretty much have a breeze, but they will be playing the Saints and they will be playing the Packers, where I feel like they're going to lose their first game. But I'm looking forward to the Packers and Cowboys being undefeated as they go into week 5, just so we can wipe that crappy grin all off your face. That would be great. That would be great. But for right now, in this little ranking that means nothing coming from my basement, you're ahead of the Packers. Then moving on to the LA Rams, sitting at number 3. The Rams, again, one of the only teams in this list to actually beat a team with a winning record. The Panthers, 1-2, which they barely escaped. The Saints, but they beat up on Drew Brees-less Saints, even though Teddy Bridgewater looked pretty good this past week. Alvin Kamara looked better. And then last night you beat up on the Browns, who their offense isn't going anywhere quick. And so taking a look here, I feel like the Rams are going to have a good run. Right now, their offense for points scored is at number 8, and their defense is at number 7. But I think the Panthers, the Saints are a little bit more quality opponents than what the Cowboys have defeated. But maybe, they'll lose to the Seahawks because that'll always be a challenging game, even though the Seahawks just lost. But I feel like November will be like the first time that the Rams have like a real chance of losing some games. So just because of the benefit of their schedule, they may be able to skate on by with 0 losses. So we'll see what winds up happening. Then number 2, that's 2 for our Spanish-speaking friends, we have the Kansas City Chiefs. Again, not beating amazing teams here, but they did come away with the Ravens, and Patrick Mahomes, man, is just using cheat codes at this point. But again, the only other team on this list to beat a winning opponent, but they beat up on the Jaguars, who are 1-2, which I think are a pretty good team. The Raiders, who are 1-2, which are really not a great team. And then the Ravens, who are 2-1. They were able to silence Lamar Jackson. Now, the Chiefs have the number 3 scoring offense right now. Their defense is tied for number 15, so if there's any kind of hesitation, it is on that defense. But Patrick Mahomes and just the teams that are going to need to score that many points just to keep up with them, I feel like the Chiefs are going to be in good shape. They do have some tougher opponents coming in October, but right now the Chiefs look pretty damn impressive. Then moving on to number 1, and I was going to put the Chiefs here, but looking at the stats, I couldn't. Now, every team that the Patriots have beat have not won a single game. All the opponents are 0-3. The Steelers, the Dolphins, and the Jets. They all suck. They all suck a lot. But you have to give credit where credit is due, that their offense looks amazing and their defense has been killer. They let up touchdowns for the first time this season, this past Sunday against the Jets. They let up 2, which was a little embarrassing. But right now they're sitting at number 2 for the scoring offense and number 1 for the least points allowed, because they've only allowed 17 points over 3 games. And 3 of it was to the Steelers. Of course, they shut out the Dolphins, and then they kicked the Jets' ass. And so they do have a tough November and December, so I don't think that they are going to go undefeated. Earlier in the year, before the season started, I had them going 12-4. But taking a look at this, the Patriots look like they're a damn good team. And if anything, they're balanced. Whereas in the Chiefs, you have a very high-scoring offense. The defense is, near the bottom 15. But the Patriots are sitting at number 1 and number 2 for defense and then offense for scoring. So, in this case right now, I have to give it to the Patriots. But starting next week, I feel like you're going to have teams that are not going to be undefeated anymore. There's a good chance that the Bills and the Lions are not going to be. And so this should get knocked down to at least 6 teams that will be undefeated. But let me know if you agree or disagree with my rankings. Do you think that there are teams out there that are currently better than undefeated teams? Looking at you, Lions. There's teams that are definitely better than you, Ravens, just for starts. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. You can always find me at TomGrossiComedy.com or at TomGrossiComedy. All social media is see down below. Check out podcasts on SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play Music, Spotify, and of course the YouTubes. And check out patreon.com/TomGrossiComedy if you would like to support me. And a big shout out and thank you to all those who are already members. But thank you so much for watching. I'm Tom freaking fracking Grossi. And as always, go Pack Go.